Hi everyone, this is a special live stream Zinni62 on YouTube Live and Zinni62.com, and thank you for joining me. In a few seconds, really, I'm going to call Stanley Washington. Stanley Washington is a person who, if you followed the Oakland Raiders' quest to build a stadium in Las Vegas after winning the right to do so via the NFL, you know this story very well, or you've heard of him, and I am more than pleased as punch, blessed that I talked to him just 30 minutes ago, and Mr. Washington agreed to come on the show as a guest and give us the scoop of really what's going on with the community benefits agreement and jobs for minorities with respect to SB1, and really tell us what we don't know. That's really the intent, okay? Is to say, hey, Mr. Washington, to fill us in on what's going on here and inform us, because we don't know. And I thought maybe he'd say no. He'd just the opposite. He said, when can I come on? And I thought, well, how about tonight? So without any further ado, I said I was going to call him back at 5 o'clock Pacific and 8 o'clock Eastern. It is that time. So that's precisely what I'm going to do right now. Get the ball rolling. Thumbs up, you guys and gals and Zinsters. And get ready, because this is going to be outstanding. Outstanding. And so I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm not going to focus on anything other than questions. Any questions you guys have directed toward Mr. Washington will come up on the side there, and I will ask those of Mr. Washington, okay? So if you're on Twitter, please help tweet this out. And right now I am calling Stanley Washington before I turn into a pumpkin and my time runs out. So here goes the call to Mr. Washington. All right, got the dial pad there, and let's have at it. Bear with me while I dial this number, folks. I didn't want to say his number out loud. Next thing you know, it's broadcast all over the place, right? We don't want to put the poor man through that, do we? No, we don't. Say 5 o'clock. So it's 5:01.
Please leave your message for
Stanley Washington.
Hey, Mr. Washington, Zinni Abraham calling. I'm going to try you back in just a little bit. A few seconds. It's 5:02. So thank you very, very much. But I'll call you back in one moment for our show. All right. Well, so that, as you heard, that's Stanley Washington's number. So the agreement, to answer your question as to what this is all about, there's something called a community benefits agreement. And the community benefits agreement basically, there he is. Mr. Washington.
Call me back. A call just came in. A call just came in and you called. So call me back.
Okay, you got it. I'll do that right now. Okay. All right, cool. So I'm going to call him right back. Is it 5 seconds? 4? How many times? Anyway, there's a community benefits agreement. And hey, Barry, glad it's all good and sequent. That assures minorities, supposed to assure that minorities get jobs on the Oakland Raiders Las Vegas NFL Stadium project. However, that benefits agreement is not done. Okay, Mr. Washington has spearheaded the effort to make sure that this is front and center and that this, gets done. He's been at every Stadium Authority meeting, and we're looking forward to having a conversation with him. So you can, Mr. Washington, Zinni Abraham.
Okay.
Cool, awesome. Hey, thank you for joining us, and I want you to basically just educate us as to, what's where is everything with respect to the community benefits agreement, how you got involved in this. So this is your platform, so we want to hear from you, unfiltered, whatever you feel comfortable telling us. But we want to learn, how to, what's happening with the stadium project from your point of view.
Okay, well, just a little background on what I believe qualifies me to do this. Is I've been doing this for 25 years here in Las Vegas, staying on top of capital projects, making sure the underserved and diverse population is able to participate. So this is just another capital project that comes down that has me playing this role. But to go ahead and summarize it, I was in Carson City with a special session there when the deliberations was going down for the passage of the SB1, which called for the $750 million in finance. That's what it was all about. So as we were there, we had the Democrats here, the majority here in Nevada, in both the Assembly and the Senate. So they're in control now. But in September of 2016, the Republicans were in control when the transaction went down. So you had the Republicans who were basically doing the bidding for Sheldon Ellison. They wanted to go ahead and have they needed the Democrats' support in order to go ahead and get the $750 million through, because they needed 2/3. They needed more than a majority, they needed 2/3. So though they basically had the majority, they needed some support from the Democrats. Well, the Democratic leadership is after America. Okay? I Senator Ford. So at that point in time, we, community, it came to Senator Ford and said, look, hey, they want $750 million with Mr. Ellison in the state. This is what needs to take place in conjunction with that in order for it to go ahead and make sense from our standpoint. What is the community going to get? How is the community going to benefit by putting $750 million, the largest public contribution to an NFL stadium ever? What is the 89106? What is the underserved community going to get out of this? Okay? So that's when Senator Ford huddled with us up in Carson City to go ahead and share with us a little bit about why it was going to make sense for us to not oppose right then and there. You have to remember, at that particular point in time, the owners were looking at Las Vegas, and they didn't want to see any discord. They wanted to see complete unity going across the board, because they didn't want to get involved if it wasn't for something that the whole population wanted to go ahead and do. So, at that point in time, Senator Ford said, look, we really need to go ahead and be all on the same page on this thing here. We can't go out and be divided. So this is what we're talking about as far as the community benefits are concerned. And at that point in time, he laid out what he was talking about there. And it was fairly aggressive. He was talking about 50% minority participation on the job hiring. And he was talking about 15% for the small business side, which was a little weak there. We thought that should have been 25% there, but that was okay. Then we had the big item of which we talked about, which is our community, the long stall for, was $100 million investment fund, so the community left out could finally get in the game, be able to participate in all the big contracts that are coming up and everything else is coming up. Mind you, the territory that we're talking about, 89106, is the most underserved zip code in the state. It has been for day one. Okay? So this is the neglected part. So certainly there's an opportunity, since we have the National Football League, whose personnel is 80% black. And then we have the Raiders, who is the blackest of the 32 football teams. Coming to town.
Hello? Stanley, you there? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead. Yep.
Okay. So if there was ever an opportunity and time for the underserved black community to go and participate in a capital project, it was certainly this one. So Senator Ford kind of understood that, so he said, okay, we understood that we were just going to go ahead and implode in Carson City. And we wouldn't have to worry about the vote. But they're like, no. Don't put on the show for the owners. Let's go ahead and work this out. So, yeah, we are talking about that $100 million per year. We're going to get it from Sheldon. That point in time, he didn't disclose. He said he had an investor, but pretty much we knew it was Sheldon Ellison. At that time, we knew certainly he was capable of basically doing that. The time he was going to be the beneficiary with the stadium and everything else. So that's how the conversations were basically going. So he said, well, what? We can't have any of these discussions at the legislature right now because we'll never get it through. We have to put together a clean, white envelope piece of legislation so we can go ahead and get this thing passed through in the special session without a whole lot of debate. We will go ahead and negotiate all the goodies for the community in the community benefits agreement. So, at that point in time, they said, okay, you know where we're going. So SB1 said, okay, fine. There will be the creation of a community benefits agreement. Didn't spell out what the community benefits agreement was going to go ahead and say. That was Senator Ford's way of bypassing the legislature with that stuff, and he cut the deal with Sheldon, who was the one who was financing behind the whole thing anyway. So we said, okay, that makes sense to us. Senator Ford said, look, trust me, let me bring home the bacon for the community. Okay. And Senator Atkins and was there. We kind of knew that what the deal was, and just Andy Abood, who was the government affairs guy for Las Vegas Sands for Sheldon, he was basically in the deal saying, okay, yeah, this is where we're going. Because obviously we wasn't just listening to Senator Ford. We were like, okay, what's Sheldon's side saying? So we said, okay, well, fine, we'll go along with that. We'll stand down in Carson City, let the vote go down, and we'll finish up the community benefits side after the vote. The vote goes down, barely passed in the Assembly, one vote in the Assembly there at the last hour, but it did go down, $750 million to the roads. Now, come time to go ahead and finish up now, negotiating the community benefits agreement, which we already set the framework for. At that point in time, Sheldon ends up being ejected out from the deal by the Raiders. And the Raiders now end up assuming Sheldon's position as the stadium developer.
Wow.
As well as the team, okay? So now it was the Raiders' responsibility to pick up and take over when Sheldon was there. And when they came back, they said, look, hey, that was you and Sheldon. This is talking to Senator Ford. Those negotiations between you and Sheldon.
Wow.
We had nothing to do with that.
Wait. Are you telling me that the Raiders had this Mark Bedane that said this? Mark Bedane said, hey, this is not us? Did that come
right.
from? Wow.
That's what he told Senator Ford. After Senator Ford said, okay, Sheldon's out. You're going to be state developer now. What about the deal that we had going on with the Senate? They said we ain't making no deal.
Wow.
We're going to come with our own. Whatever you have out the window. We starting fresh. We're going to go ahead and hand feed you our community benefits agreement. We're not going to take a lead.
So Oakland Raiders President Mark Bedane. Wow.
Huh?
Oakland Raiders President Mark Bedane basically said, I'm the sheriff in town now, in a sense.
They already had the money to vote now. They weren't talking like that before the vote, before they had the money.
Wow.
Only after. Okay? So now they're like, okay, we said, well, look, since Sheldon's out, then the whole deal should be off. It shouldn't be, you guys get to keep the $750 million, but the part that gave rise to that part is out.
Whoa! Oh, my God.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
And that's what you hear me saying, the bait and switch.
Right.
We were in Carson City last time. If they'd have said that, the vote would have never went down. We would have imploded them. We would put on a nice big show for the NFL owners. They said no thanks.
So basically, you got used, in a sense.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go. Now, what happens is, puts Ford in a situation because Ford was always operating in good faith. He didn't know that the partnership was going to fall apart after the vote.
Wow, time about Assemblyman Ford.
He went to Mark Bedane with no leverage. He said, well, Mark, are you going to honor what I was talking about with Lawson said? No.
Wow.
So you mean to tell me I have to go back to my people who I told them, let me deliver the goods. I told them certain things that were going to go down and allow them not to employ it at that time, to allow that vote to go down. And now I've got to go back and tell them, guess what? All that's out the window. We're starting over again. We're going to be hand-fed a community benefits agreement by the Raiders.
Wow.
So obviously, Senator Ford's going to kick that because we ain't trying to hear that.
So we've got, I mean, so where are we now? Is there anything, can anything be done if the Raiders really don't seem to care?
Where we are right now, remember now, the law called for the community benefits agreement.
It sure
but
did.
It did not call for what's in it.
Yes, sir.
And what was in it was what the negotiations between the Las Vegas Sands and Air Ford at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So they were saying, look, this is what's going to be in it. Okay?
Wow.
Cool. We can't bring, we're going to deal with it after the vote, but this is what's going to be in it. Okay? Trust us.
Hey,
All
folks.
right, fine. We did that. After the vote, Sheldon out. Ford's asking, but Dane, I got my people. Are you going to honor what we talk about? Were we going to honor what we talked about that gave rise to $750 million? Because if not, we would have never got out of Carson City. Okay?
Hey, folks on
So
YouTube.
Dane says, no, I'm not. That was between you, Sheldon. Sheldon's out of the deal now. We're going to start all over again, and we'll give you the community benefits agreement that we think you should have.
Wow. Hey, folks, for those of
So
you who
right now, that discussion is going on between Air Force. Air Force is trying to salvage as much of the deal that he had with us as possible, but he has no leverage with them.
Hey, folks, here's the thing. I want you folks on YouTube who are listening to Mr. Washington, let me explain for those of you who are rushing to catch up. To put it in a nutshell, when Sheldon Adelson financed the deal and prior to the $750 million vote by the Nevada legislature, the Raiders were very nice. But when Sheldon Adelson went out of the deal because of this issue with good faith with Mark Davis, the Raiders had their money and changed and said, oh, that $100 million community benefits promise, essentially, that we had on the table, well, that was Sheldon Adelson's deal. That's not our deal. That's what Mr. Washington is telling us right now. In other words, and that came straight from Oakland Raiders president Mark Bedane. In other words, once the Raiders got their $750 million, they were far less nice, or they weren't nice at all, about fulfilling the promise of $100 million going to people of color and women to get work related, and blacks in particular, related to the Oakland Raiders, now Las Vegas Raiders, NFL stadium. You got that? That's what Mr. Washington is telling us. But what's great about this, and God bless you for giving us your time, Mr. Washington. And but I have people on YouTube who are, they're rushing to catch up and everything else. And this is the best you're going to get. This is inside baseball. So please listen carefully. Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Washington. Sorry.
So anyway, where we are now is the stadium, the community benefits agreement is on the agenda, has been on the, is on the agenda for September 14th, this next meeting coming up. The chairman of the State Authority Board said, yeah, we have to have all the agreements done by October. Obviously, there's big interest in the community benefits agreement down there. We need to go ahead and wrap that up. So the September 14th meeting, they're going to come to the table with their version of the community benefits agreement with input from Eric and Senator Ford for whatever that is basically worth.
Wow.
Because the main thing he wants to talk about with them, they don't want to talk about. So whatever's going to come back from them is going to be what the Raiders are talking about, and not what Senator Ford's talking about in the majority. They may give him a few other things, but they told him off the top, that $100 million, don't even bring that to the table.
They're not bringing it.
Senator Ford told us, but guess what? He had to come back and tell us, the community, guess what? Look, I'm going to salvage as much of the negotiations as I can, but I'm already telling you that they said they're not going for the $100 million, so I'm going to leave that out.
Hey, help me with something, because on the Las Vegas Stadium board is a gentleman by the name of Tommy White of the Union 872. And in the research that I've done, it seems like 872 Union Local has had a less than stellar relationship with the black community. Can you shed some light on that, or am I right or am I wrong?
You're exactly right. Mr. White right now has no less than 7 or 8 lawsuits against him by African Americans as we speak.
How many?
All of them have dealt with him at some point in time.
How many lawsuits?
There's 7, anywhere from 6 to 8. 2, maybe, I don't think a couple of them have filed yet, but at least 6 of them, I believe 5 to 6 of them have filed. Okay? And so this has been ongoing, and that's why you have one of them being Gene Collins, who's a former NAACP president, former state assembly, whatnot. He continues to go ahead and stay on that point. That's all he talks about in the State Authority Board meeting. So no question that Mr. White is not a great actor when it comes to African Americans.
How did he?
And there's not very many African Americans in that union. There was, before he arrived, there was a majority of African Americans in the labor union. 20 years later, 23 years later, Tommy White's been there for 20 years.
With all that political, wow. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so anyway, so you are correct. There's multiple lawsuits against him in 872, and that will continue on. And that part of the scenario will continue on. Those people will continue to go ahead and tell the State Authority Board that this is not the perfect party should be on there, and they're going to go ahead and continue to work their angle with Tommy White. But then, that has nothing to do with the overall angle of the benefits agreement, other than the fact that he has a vote on that board in terms of what it is, and he's already saying, oh, we don't need to do nothing with the community benefits agreement. We don't need to be investing. We don't need to be doing that. So he's already on that horse.
Can this,
So.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Can this...
So anyway, he's got several racial discrimination lawsuits against him. You can look him up. I'll get his names. You can talk to the people there. So he's mired in that situation.
Wow.
That's why we were surprised how they went and put him up there. But he basically bought his way onto the board, significant contributions, donations to Sisolak, to the sheriff, and everybody else in there. So he spends the union's money like a drunken sailor. And money talks.
Well, Steve Sisolak's running for governor. Why is he allowing this to go on like this?
Well, he's not a really smart guy.
Wow.
And if he thinks that after kicking out a room full of black people out of the county commission chambers for a bunch of white people to go ahead and sit down is going to go ahead and fly, he's got another thing coming. Okay? And these are the same black people he's going to come back and say, look, I need your vote to be governor. So we got some news from the Sisolak now based on what's going on. We have had several pieces of advice on how to go ahead and deal with this situation. So when we finish with him, he won't be able to go ahead and run for dog catcher. And we're going to be calling for him to step down from the county commission. So this will all basically come out. He literally, upon the advice of Tommy White, told a room full of a public meeting, shameful of black people, they had to leave so the white people could come sit down. I thought Jim Crow was out a long time ago.
Yeah, that was going to be my statement. How is it that the governor would allow this to go on, or Steve Hill, the chairman of the Las Vegas Stadium Authority?
They panicked at the time. They remember now. They weren't expecting that, and all of a sudden and whatnot. There was about 1,100 black folks on the county building down there. The chamber only seats 318 people. So they were down there, all the seats and whatnot, and you had all the white people standing outside, carpenters. They're like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is not... So he passed Tommy White, so we got to do something. You need to get him out of here. So he stepped up there and told him, let's not let him leave.
Wow.
Folks couldn't believe it. White folks, all kind of witnesses, but wait a minute. What do you mean you got to leave? If y'all ain't got me, you guys got to go and leave. This is for people who have business here. I'm sure after thinking about this, Mr. Sis, I wish you hadn't done that. It is too late.
So in the middle...
Folks, other elected officials like, uh-oh. And so what he's done is put the county in big jeopardy, as well as himself, and we're organizing to jump on that as we speak.
Say that one more time, please.
I said the community is organizing to deliver the response to Mr. Sisolak's conduct as we speak.
Are you going to have a protest group at the September 14th meeting, or is that the preliminary plan, or
by the thousands?
Well, so September 14th is going to be...
In fact, I was just getting ready to go ahead and text you over the flyer for our big Stand Up for Black Jobs Labor Day rally right now. So
send it over. Send it over.
Rally at the Martin Luther King statue, and we're going to have thousands there. And at that point in time, the State Authority is 10 days later. So we're organizing on Labor Day 4th. We'll be back down there on September 14th. Remember, the community benefits is on the agenda. We have our version that we're bringing. They're having theirs to bring, and we're going to go ahead and see how it goes down.
Well, you're on live.
We'll be down to about the thousands. Wow. In the seats. We're out there. Mr. Sisolak tried to tell us to go and leave this time because I wouldn't limit the chambers when it went down. That's when it went down. I was outside.
So you're on live stream, and a number of people are hearing this. Eventually, thousands are going to hear it. So tell them where anyone who wants to get involved and help right this ship, where they should be when this meeting is going to happen.
Well, the meeting's going to be at the Clark County Government Center, where it always is, at 1 o'clock, September 14th. And as we were down there on July 13th, 1,100 strong, we shocked them there the cause of that. This time, we're coming down with the singular purpose. They tried to go in and say, oh, well, guess what? They're down here under the wrong thought. That they thought that they were coming down to go ahead and get jobs, and that's when he told them there wasn't no jobs, which that was a whole bunch of crap. We had them come down, and we put out a flyer saying, look, we need to find out how many black people wanted to go to work and ready to go to work. You got to understand, they're talking about a groundbreaking in November, December.
Right.
SB1, and that's the thing about it, SB1 called for the small business set aside. That's the only thing that was basically in that 15%. Everything else was supposed to be negotiated in the community benefit agreements. The amount of minority participation, the amount of retail concessions participation, everything that was supposed to be in the community benefit was negotiated in that. Well, they still haven't come to that. But meanwhile, they're moving forward and everything else, talking about a groundbreaking in November, December. We're like, well, wait a minute. So by the time we get to this, finish this up, the heart is out the barn now. Because there's a certain amount of preparation that has to take place in order for these aren't jobs in McDonald's and Kmart. You got to go ahead, have OSHA, you got to have certain requirements to go ahead and do. You got to pass exams. And quite frankly, the ex-offender population, the target population, isn't prepared at this time. So we said, well, look, we need some investment training dollars to prepare the target population to be effective to go to work. Because they already knew if they're not prepared and qualified, then, it's fool's over on that point. So we're going to look. Why are we moving forward to go ahead and start construction so we can be done with 2020 when the targeted population who's going to be participating is not even prepared, not even addressing that?
Has anyone given an answer to that question at all?
No, and we know why, but that's okay. That's why we're organizing ourselves. All this is community driven, not one politician in it. So the September 4th rally, we'll have thousands out there at the Martin Luther King statue. The subject matters that we're talking about there is Raider Stadium, black jobs and training, Nevada Senate Bill 1, and the Raider Stadium Community Benefits Agreement, and Colin Kaepernick, Marshawn Lynch, and Michael Bennett. We're supporting their efforts. We're supporting Michael. We're supporting Colin Kaepernick, who's out of a job right now.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And we're supporting Marshawn Lynch, Michael Bennett. We're supporting him.
Wow. Hey, one of my viewers asked, he says, are there any plans to file an injunction if, this isn't done?
Everything's on the table. And that's how things are done. When the other parties are moving at a pace, at an irreversible pace, you let the judge decide to see what's going down.
Now, where the Raiders at the last meeting, because I watched it on live stream, introduced Mark Bourdain, pointed out his community benefits person. See, my community benefits community representative is a woman that was there. I forgot her name. Has she reached out to you or been in any contact?
Lynn Littlejohn is her name.
Yes, thank you.
No, she has not.
Wow, at all. Who has she talked to?
She called me one time in response. I called the chairman of the board, David Mortensen, because typically my role as a activist and Howard activist, I deal with the chairman of the CEOs. I let them deal with everybody else. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So when I called up David Mortensen, which I normally do, I ain't no different. Steve, when I normally do, the call came back from her. Oh, still in Littlejohn, you put a call through? Yeah, but I didn't call you. I called the chairman. But she called back. Okay, so that's the only time we basically talked. And I told her, I said, look, guess what? This Nevada is a different animal that you would have faced before. She's done 4 different stadiums, 4 community benefits agreements, all that good stuff there. But she hasn't dealt with the situation like over here. So I was letting her know. I know there's a lot of people that's in your ear, a lot of people all over the place, but you'll find out who you need to be dealing with and who you need to be reaching out to. And they're finding that out the hard way.
So how did it get to a point in Las Vegas where, let me give you an example. When I've worked for, as I told you, last 5 mayors of Oakland, but I was also writing for the Montclarian when the Raiders came back, and I wound up working for L.U. Harris. But to make a long story short, you remind me of the late Joe Deborah, a great man who raised the issue about minority hiring and black hiring because Ron Tudor of Tuber Sleba in Oakland didn't have a great track record with minorities. By contrast,
right,
the political people didn't play games. They got together a list of people the Raiders and Tudor Sleba are supposed to hire. we had 30% participation at the end of the day, which is fantastic. 30%. But it sounds like to me, you're doing yeoman's work representing what I call the 21st century version of Joe Devereaux, if you will. But it sounds like rather than cooperation from the Raiders, you're getting resistance, and you've got a union that's playing along with them, and this is going to get ugly. That's what I hear.
It is. I mean, we've already discussed it. They're talking about a 2020 opening. We don't see it. It's 20. If they don't have everything done by October, agreements and all that, and the ground back in November, they said they missed the 2020 opening. They can forget that. Well, we're already in the 2020. And they want us to be opening by 2020 when we ain't included. So if it takes to 2021 for us to get included, then that's what we'll do. Because once we do, our next move, after we come down there by the thousands, which we're going to go ahead and do, and obviously we're going to put big pressure on Roger Goodell and the owners, because this is, either they're condoning the conduct of the Raiders, or they're going to step back from the conduct of the Raiders. They're going to have to make a decision.
Have you or anyone?
Family member? Right now, we've got 7 ready. We're going to Roger Goodell as we speak.
Wow. Have you talked to Sheldon Adelson or Andy Aboud about this and keeping them abreast of things?
Well, all my movement is in public, transparent at the Stadium Authority Board anyway, and everybody's basically are watching. So right now, since they're out of the picture, for me, there's nothing for them to go ahead and say they can stand. We're watching and whatnot, but we don't have them standing in the transaction. That's what we're having. There's nothing for me to, even though at the last Stadium Authority Board meeting, I said, look, if this going to take for Sheldon Adelson to come back, for the $100 million to come back, and the Sheldon needs to come back into the deal.
Do you think that? Let me ask. Do the Raiders have enough money to do this without help? I mean, they've got Bank of America, but Bank of America is not going to finance their overruns, right?
No, they don't. And that's part of what the problem is. They have a bunch of infrastructure money they got to go ahead and spend as well. They're 14,000 parking spaces short to go ahead and get a building permit for that. So they're running around now trying to go ahead and buy more land and make arrangements, because all the land has gone up 5 times since the thing closed, right? So right now, everybody's interested in seeing how they're going to go ahead and maneuver that. But nevertheless, there is still, that has nothing to do with the overall movement of us being included, and us being, and what we're talking about now is not a grant.
Yes, sir.
We're talking about an investment of which we suggested that $100 million go be under the management of Blackstone Foundation, or the Blackstone Group, rather. The Blackstone Group is the largest money management in the country, maybe in the world, $360 billion under management. They're managing the NFL's money, the California, the public utilities money, Sheldon Adelson's money. Anybody who has money, Blackstone is a good part of that $360 billion. So don't get it wrong. It's not like they said, oh, give a bunch of black people $100 million so we can go screw it up. No. We said, look, that's the $100 million with Blackstone, the same one who's managing your money, let him on our behalf, and let's go incubate businesses. Blackstone has a formal incubation program where they come on in and incubate businesses and grow them into $100 million businesses and whatnot. That's what we want to do. So we didn't say give the money to us. We said give it to the responsible manager, the same manager who's managing you guys' money, but now let it manage on our behalf so we can be in the game. Okay?
How would you assess Stephen Hill's, operation and all this? He's the chairman. I mean, is he sitting back and just? I mean, is he a deer in the headlights?
Yeah, he's laid back anyway. His overall style is one that's laid back anyway. So the fact that he's laid back, that's just typical him. He's shrewd and is aware of what's going on, but he's under edicts from the governor that he was meant to go ahead and get it done to see him through there. So though he's one of 9 members. On the this is 9 or 12. He was one of 9 members on the board up there. He still has his sway, but he's up there with some other big boys too, the casino owners and all that, who bigger than the governor and him. So he's got to go ahead and respect his board. But I believe that he's being the referee. He's being the referee and trying to go ahead and negotiate this thing through. I believe he has good intentions, but he's in something that may be over his head right now based on what's going on.
Some people think, and I think myself, I thought that maybe the politics were lining up to where, because I think SB1 has a kind of a drop-dead date for the Raiders, and then UNLV can take over, right?
No, I mean, they're doing two sets of negotiations right now. They're negotiating with SB1 on the community benefits agreement, and they're negotiating with UNLV on the joint use agreement for the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Both those agreements are up, for September. They've been talking with the president, they've been talking with the UNLV folks, trying to get it all straight, between them. The stadium authority board said, look, y'all need to go and get it together, come back to us, and we got it together. So those are the negotiations that will be going on between UNLV and Mark Levine on that side. Then on this side, they're dealing with Senator Ford, who is still attempting to negotiate some semblance of the community benefits agreement that originally was supposed to go down.
Well, Senator...
So, which we don't have a whole lot of confidence because he already said that $100 million is out. So we've come together with the community, which we're allowed to do, and put together our own community benefits agreement, because this is the community benefits agreement. It's not the Raiders agreement. It's not Senator Ford's agreement. So for there to be an agreement going down without the community having some input at the table on this whole thing, or if Senator Ford, who's supposed to be our representative, is not representing us, that don't go down. So we, the community, have to go ahead and stand. And that's what's happening. I'm leading that charge. We're going to make sure that we get equity in this deal, or the Raiders can stand up with it.
It sounds like you believe, or you have the idea that Senator Ford is not really fighting hard enough for the black community. Is that what I'm hearing?
He's conflicted. He doesn't represent the black area. Mm-hmm. His area is what vote? 89106, 89030. Those are the black areas. Wow. The area that he represents, he doesn't represent our areas. We have other senators. Senator Atkinson represents. Senator Ford, his district he represents is primarily white. So who does he have to beckon to?
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a fantastic point. I'm learning as I'm learning.
You think he's going to press real hard into the white folks about the $100 million for the black folks in the community? He's trying to be attorney general. He's running for attorney general next year. That's what he told us. Look, I'm trying. He's trying to stay out. He can't.
Whoa, wait! He's running.
He's right in the middle of it.
Repeat that, sir. He's running for attorney general next year. Senator Ford is.
Yep. Central Action for governor, and he's running for attorney general.
Oh, so they're trying to wire things for themselves. They're like,
There you go. There you go.
So basically, for those of you watching and trying to keep up, what Mr. Washington, Stanley Washington, is explaining is that Clark County Commission Chair Steve Sisolak is running for governor, as some of you may know, and Speaker of the Assembly Ford is running for Attorney General next year. So they both have their own agendas. And what Mr. Washington is saying is that Mr. Ford's agenda is not aligning with that of the black community, but as I understand it, Mr. Ford's lack of commitment to what is written in stone in SB1, and I've recited that to everybody here, that lack of commitment is going to be called by Mr. Washington and the people that he works with. Am I speaking incorrectly?
That's correct. That's correct. We, the community, have to stand up for our own on this. And that's what we're going to do, by the thousands.
Doesn't it upset you that after having that in law, you have to go through this kind of hell, really, just to get work?
Well, but it's been, I've been here 25 years, nothing new here in Nevada, Southern Nevada. There's a reason why they still have semblance in the slaves, Mississippi, the Western applies. Okay, Mississippi way more progressive than Nevada, Southern Nevada. So,
whoa, you're saying Mississippi, where the NAACP said
way more progressive than Southern Nevada.
Mississippi is more progressive than Southern Nevada. Note that.
There you go.
Whoo, boy, this is a real quagmire like I had never, ever thought. I mean, I knew something was going on, but not to the extent that, is being presented. And, like I say, I've covered CES in Las Vegas. I only have a taste. I don't really have now I have no idea of how Las Vegas politics really works because I'm getting, as are my viewers, I'm getting a very valuable dumping in gold, if you will. Thank you to, Stanley Washington. Hey, another other question, because I'm just, wow. I can't get over this. Where are the other casinos in all this? I mean, because the Raiders need sponsors. Are the other casinos interested in investing? Are they taking wait and see? Is the gentleman?
They're like, look. Hey, the Raiders and the bank pulled us off. They haven't had to put up a dime in this whole process. Their hotel rooms are going to be full, and their gambling table is going to be full. So they've already done their math on it. If it didn't benefit them, they wouldn't have put it in the first place. Remember, the stadium authority, the infrastructure committee that made the recommendation to move forward for the financing consisted of all the casino players.
Right. And
so in order for that recommendation to come from them to move forward, their interests have to be served.
Are they going to?
So they all did their homework. Oh, damn! Oh, we don't have to put up a dime. We have to fund.
Is that to translate to they're not going to put up sponsorship money for the Raiders? If you think in the future?
Well, that doesn't mean that they're not going to buy the box seats and buy all the goodies that need to be done. But as far as investing in the infrastructure dollars that they're going to need, no. Anything having to do with the construction and development, no. But come time to buy the boxes, we certainly going to do that.
So let me get this in my pea brain straight. You're telling me that the casinos are not going to lift a monetary finger to help the Raiders with any cost overruns or infrastructure problems they have in terms of paying it?
Nope. The Raiders deal, as they originally came forth to the infrastructure board, and remember now, the first board that they had to get the recommendation from was the infrastructure committee that had all the casino moguls on it.
Right.
So at that point in time, they were the ones saying, okay, we give you $750 million of our money. What does the deal look like? What happens to cost overruns and whatnot? They're all on us. There's not one darn minute coming to them. Anything that costs, anything at all on them. They got that part straight before they made the recommendation.
Yeah, and as I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was Las Vegas Sands chief operating officer who said at the time, I think it was July 5th, when he was on the Southern Nevada Tourism Infrastructure Committee, of which you speak, he said, hey, we, Las Vegas Sands, are going to pay for all that, right? And now they're gone.
Right.
I mean, if I were Mark Davis, I'll be begging him to come back. Hey, I made a mistake, man.
Remember, they got to here. I think they said that Shannon maybe tried to do some hardball negotiations in the end, whatnot, to kind of broke off things. They went to Bank of America. Bank of America is going to own $650 million that is required for the deal that Sheldon was going to put in, and then another $200 million to go ahead and address infrastructure or whatever else that needs to go to happen, or is to buy out. Because on top of that, the Raiders have to go ahead and buy out that relocation fee, okay?
Right.
No small fee.
Right. No, okay? The relocation fee is not.
Plus, they have the infrastructure to deal with above and beyond. So right now, that $850 million they're going to get from Bank of America, we still don't know, if that's going to give it all. But $650 and another $200 million. But hell, I believe that the buyout is like $500 million. Those owners, they go ahead and share in the largest, and none of them want to go ahead and basically move. So, anyways, they got that fee to deal with. They still have to go ahead and come up with the necessary parking. I mean, they got to buy a bunch of more land. It's now went up 5 times since they basically have bought their property there.
Wow.
And so, a whole lot of stuff still has to go down, and a lot of people are still saying, we don't see how they're going to make it. We're going to see.
Hey, correct me if I'm wrong, but I get the impression that there's a significant amount of people in Las Vegas who could care less about this thing. Am I wrong or am I right?
Correct. Remember, it was a divided situation. The vote passed the assembly by 1 vote.
Right. Remember that. Yep.
It was, okay, so, at 5 o'clock.
In the morning. Yeah.
In the evening.
In the evening, I'm sorry, in the evening. Right. In the evening, yeah. In the evening.
In the evening.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they needed one more vote. They were down in the afternoon when they needed one more vote. So they went out and got on, they found it. They kept the deal. Whatever they did, they found that one vote to get it through. Yeah. I know we were there. We were wondering, okay, who's going to be the one? You know, they needed one vote.
And I remember that Nevada, remember the Department of Transportation study came out, and it was leaked to the Las Vegas Review-Journal, and it said the infrastructure cost is going to be $900 million. Are they going to have the Raiders pay for all that, or just, you know, the law calls for an adequate amount? Has anyone said the Raiders are going to have to pay, you know, $450 million? Has a price tag, to your knowledge, ever been?
Well, what happens is the county's going to go ahead and bear X amount of infrastructure work that it would ordinarily need to go ahead and do anyway. Okay. Mm-hmm. The idea that whatever the infrastructure work above and beyond that is the result of Raiders, the Raiders are going to have to pay for it. So what that split is, how that breaks out, still basically unclear. The county is acknowledging that, let's say, we got to do our part to the county, but sometimes it's specific for the Raiders. So right now, and we got Tony Marnell, very prominent developer in town. He's doing work on high-speed rail. He paid for his own traffic study report that was submitted at the last meeting, screaming on the traffic study reports that they brought to the table with there. So there's still a whole lot of questions about the traffic.
Wow. So you've got basically a possibility that when all is said and done, these costs could go even higher, right?
Well, hey, you know how it goes. I mean, you know how it goes based on what's going on. So right now, they're big boys. They have to go ahead and figure it out. They stepped up. It's on them to go ahead and do it. Well, how they do it, I don't know. But I do know that we're not going to go ahead and be sacrificing the process in terms of what we should do against. So however it works out, we just know how it's going to go down from our end in terms of what's discussed. So we as a community are going to come stand strong in demand and make sure we get what we want. If not, yes, we will file the exemption. Okay, which we know. Then it's going to obviously blow the October thing away because they can't do nothing until they go run down a judge to go ahead and have it lifted. Which they'll be doing, real fast, but then that means the judge going like, wait, and then we'll be all in the courtroom looking the judge down too. So, you know how it goes. The minute we have a right to file, but they have a right to go find a judge quickly and have them lifted based on merit. So when the judge listens to what's going on,
Yeah.
So, and the fact that, the fear of the time frame in terms of what's going on there. So, remember now, this is September we're approaching. They have to have all the agreements done by October meeting.
So, where's
they said they don't, then they're in jeopardy of not making the 2020 openings.
Where's Chris Giuliani in all this? She's also the Clark County Commissioner
she was in opposition from day one.
And she remains solidly in opposition. I heard rumors that she was warming up to things.
She's been Steve Sisolak's worst nightmare throughout this whole time. You know why?
Why?
She's running for governor too.
Oh, so it's official. When did she make it official? I didn't know that.
Her fundraising is next month in September.
Wow. So we got Steve Sisolak versus Chris Giuliani. Not too hard to figure out who you're going to be backing, right? or who?
Well, Chris was screaming it was a poor deal from day one, and the hidden cost that it's going to cost the county $3 million a month for the lifetime of the contract. That's what she's, So she's going to be tracking, just like on that basis, you put a bad deal with the taxpayers of Clark County.
Hey, have you?
In no way should you be rewarded by being the governor.
Have you by chance met or talked to Eric Grudman of NFL Properties, who's the stadium point person for the league?
No.
Okay, because I was wondering, he generally, weighs in at some point on these issues, but I
don't know him, but I do know who I am going to be talking to. I'm going to be talking to Mr. Smith, NFL Players
DeMaurice Smith, yeah, DeMaurice Smith.
Yeah, I'm going to be talking to him as we're going to be making our case to him and all the rest of the players. And of course, we'll be talking to Roger Goodell, and we'll probably have the conversation with Jerry Jones.
Are you going?
It's their brand. We're going to like, it's the NFL, the most important thing the NFL is concerned about is Roger Goodell's job is brand protection. Number one, brand protection. So, we're going to let them know. They're entering into a quagmire over here.
Wow.
So, you know, we already know where it's at. We're holding them accountable. That's why we're going to go ask them, are you, after hearing what's going down, are you backing the Raiders' conduct or are you not? We think they're going to tell the Raiders, clean it up. I think we're going to tell Mark Davis, no, Mark Davis, you need to have that cleaned up in the morning time. We're not interested in our brand being caught up down there in some racial shit.
Right. In contact. Oh, no, understood. In contacting DeMaurice Smith, the head of the NFL Players Union, are you going to try to basically mate the concern or the lack of attention the Raiders are paying the minority hiring to the Kaepernick issue?
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. I mean, we as a community, I mean, you know, the NAACP is already calling for the meeting with Roger Goodell.
Now that, yeah, right. Okay,
so everybody's, you know, paying attention to what's going on. We're following the lead, so everyone's concerned. All the Black Americans concerned. The leading civil rights organization is calling for a meeting with Roger Goodell. Meanwhile, we got our own issues with Roger Goodell coming out of here. Roger Goodell's going to be busy.
Do you know, has anyone told you when he's due to visit, or do you have any idea?
No, I mean, I don't know the business. I just know when we start doing what we're going to be doing, he's going to be talking.
Have you had a chance?
What we're going to be doing is the world's going to be looking at the NFL break, looking at what's going down. So,
right. Have you had a chance to have any sidebars with Mark Bedane or Mark Davis, for that matter? How have they? If so, how have they went?
Well, Mark Bedane is most of the Stadium Authority Board meetings then. Early on, we basically explained some pleasantries in that. They applied to the vote there. But then after the vote, no. He and Fishlack are playing ball together there, and Fishlack is not a friend of the African American community. So
wow.
So they picked their side. He's picked Tommy White and Fishlack to carry the water for them on through.
Man, oh man. So the Raiders also, there were two community people. There was the community person you mentioned, Lynn. But she's with the contractor, right? She represents the contractor, right?
Morton, yeah, she represents the contractor, Morton.
And she's African. She's the African American woman I saw on the television set.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Exactly.
The person the Bedane referred.
So what happens is the Raiders have delegated their responsibility for putting together the benefits agreement to her, who is supposed to be the expert at this.
Huh. Now, the Raiders also have. Bedane pointed to somebody. She was white woman who was sitting in back and said that's our community liaison or something, and that name I didn't get. So there's two people, but I guess you're not. Do you know about her as well?
No, I don't.
Okay, because I was gonna say yeah, she's brand new, so I would think that she was sitting next to some guy, and I was wondering if he was connected with a union or something. But if you find out anything before I do, let me know, please. Yeah, it's something else.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. Hey, well, I thought I can say that the September meeting is going to be a spectacular meeting.
So September's coming up. So I know you've got other things to do. We've been on it for about an hour now. Is there anything else that you want to add before we close?
I'm gonna text you the flyer for the September for Black Jobs rally.
You got it.
Because that's where everyone's going to get educated in terms of what's going on, that whole bit there, and what we're demanding, and what it is. So we'll be all on the same page for September 14th.
Stanley Washington, thank you so much for this blessing of giving us the straight scoop, because we haven't had it. I've called Steve Sisolak 5 times. No answer.
Call me up. Just make sure you call me back after September 14th, though.
Oh, I will. I will.
September 4th, it's a rally.
I will. Oh, no, I'll definitely keep in touch, and I'll send you a link to this because it's up.
I'm putting out my press release on the rally probably tomorrow night.
Okay.
Just like this, when we did our thing down at the county, and the budget came down there, we basically had calls from I was the Washington Post, ESPN, CNN, you name it. And it's going to continue to be the case like that.
Well, hey, fight the good fight, I'm serious about that because it shouldn't be a fight today. This is 2017. It should not be a fight for anybody, Black, Latino, Asian, woman, to get jobs. I watched the Stadium Authority meeting, and blonde young woman said something like, I think the 872 person had said that that person was reading the racial groups that they had hired, right? And he said Native American 0. And then this lady got right behind him and said, I've worked with 872 and I'm Native American. And I thought, wait a minute. I thought you didn't count. I said, what kind of fishiness is going on here, right? I mean, that's when I knew something was kind of askew there, you know? Wild.
So we got several issues. We got the separate Tommy White issue with the black community going on. We got him, Sisolak then got in his own trouble now. These are independent of the stadium things. Steve Sisolak's conduct has to be addressed independently of what's going on. No one told him to get out there and dismiss the black people, so he's gonna pay for that. and then you got the situation going, the separate situation you got going, litigation going on. Tommy White has been going on for some time with several black subcontractors. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and play the thing on through. Make sure you go and check back with me after September 4th.
You got it.
So you can go ahead and get some more skinny, because that's when we're going to be preparing for the big September 14th meeting, and we're all going to be on the same page, knowing exactly why we're down there and our demands.
And please keep me in the loop, informed, text me that information. I'll get it out as soon as possible. And thank you very, very much.
I'll text it to you right now. You have a good evening.
You too. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Goodbye.
See ya. See ya.
Sorry about that. That was class.
Well, how about that? There you are. Tommy White is emerging to be a kind of interesting participant in this, and it's quite clear that Mark Bourdain changed colors, if you will, after the Raiders got the quote their money, unquote. Juan Ramirez asks, how many documents are left to become completed, and what is the status of them? Well, the community benefits document that Mr. Washington is talking about is one of those documents. Right now, no documents are done. Okay, that much is certain. We only have one that's finished. That's the lease agreement itself. That's it. Okay. Now, Juan Ramirez says, can you have a recap after the meeting? Yes, Juan, I will do that. I will have a recap. And Karen says, will there be a video of that meeting? Yes, Karen, there will be. That's actually standard Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting, right? And what happened at the last one was, absent because unless somebody's going to be there or nearby and they want to put a live stream on Zenny 62, which would be great. I won't be there, but I say that because outside is where, according to Mr. Washington, the action is going to take place. The room only sits 318 people. He's going to bring 1,000, and they're going to be outside. And the last time that happened, a lot of the photos that should have made it into media or social media didn't make it for whatever reason. You didn't get a full picture of what was going on. People talked about it enough to where you said, hey, something outside is going down, okay? And you heard about it, all right? And yeah, Raider guy says, invest. Please invest. This is, like I said, this is the kind of coverage that you don't get anywhere else. I mean, you just don't. And sadly, but that is the truth. And again, this happened, and I apologize for not a greater notice, but look, it was an hour and 30 minutes ago that I got Mr. Washington's number. I had tried to get in contact with him several times, right? And finally I got him directly. And as I said at the onset of this program, he said, well, when do you want to talk? And I thought, well, tonight, tonight. So he said, great, let's do it. Karen Christian says, maybe the meeting will cause the Raiders to miss the deadline. I think, something, frankly speaking, is going to occur. Now, he's threatening an injunction. He's threatening going to the players' union. Basically, he's already gone pedal to the metal. He's prepared to continue to go pedal to the metal on this thing. And, wow, just gives you a different look at how things have gone down with this entire project. It really does. So, and it's unfortunate. It's going to give a black eye to the league. I mean, that much is certain. It will, unless the league doesn't step in and fix it. Okay. I think what I'm most taken with is the degree of candor that he presented in telling this story. Okay? I mean, there was no room for equivocation. There was no room for guessing. There was nothing. He just put it out there. Boom. Basically, he said, hell, here's the issue. Take it. That's it. Okay? And so Raider Nation says, is there something SB1 being violated? Well, right now, yeah. And there is, SB1 calls for community participation. Now, it is admittedly vague on what that should be, but simply, if you tie what SB1 calls for with the agreements that were made between Las Vegas stands and minority contractor representatives, they could say the simple fact that Adelson put this together, made these promises, and worked to get the Raiders involved, formed both a written and a verbal contract that essentially the Raiders have violated. They could make that claim. Now, whether or not it'll stick in court is another conversation. But on the surface, they have enough ammunition to make that assertion, make that argument, and make it stick. And make it stick. So, hey, PC, you, boy. And so, Karen Chris says maybe they have other races come together. Well, Karen, it's not just black. Let me make one thing straight, clear here, okay? It's not. This is not an African American only problem, but it's a problem that primarily impacts blacks. Other races are involved, but even then, because of Las Vegas culture, and you heard what Stanley Washington said. He said that Southern Nevada basically is worse for blacks than Mississippi. That's what he said. Okay, that is what he said. And I thought, wow. And Raider Nation SB1 is specific about minorities. It doesn't use that term exactly, but it is specific about that. Okay, it really quite is. All right, so it really is. Now Ed Marshall says they seemed quite enthusiastic about this agreement at the last Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting, and I don't know that, Ed, I would read that as enthusiastic at all. I didn't get that at all. I felt that, I mean, and also, it depends on who the they is that you're referring to, okay? The politics are that split, as you've heard if you listen to this entire interview that I held with Mr. Washington, all right? Hey, folks, let's do this. I've got to get ready for a flight tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in and coming in, and please invest. I hope everybody's been able to invest, and even if it's just $2, it's, hey, $2 I didn't have before, as I say. But this is the kind of coverage you get that you don't get anywhere else. And this is something I got to transcribe. I got Elihu on Sunday, Godfather last night. Now I've got Mr. Washington, and this is, as they say, in the can. In the can. So I'll be back tomorrow from the West Coast. Remember, Zenny62 Media, Zenny62.com. If you haven't subscribed to Zenny62 on YouTube, and I believe you have because you're here, do so. Tell your friends. Bring everybody, okay? Richard Carson says, thanks for the interview. Pride and Poise from Lake Charles. Thank you, sir. And again, investors, thank you for your consistent support. And thank you, everybody else. All right. And I will see everybody later. Thank you very, very much.